Creative Icon 2 has some amazing features in the embroidery side that we used to not have control over. Like you had to use embroidery software that you had to purchase separately to do a lot of these functions. So one of the things I want to talk about is stitch out order. Let me give you an example. We're going to bring in a couple different designs that we're going to put on our screen. Don't worry where they are right now. We're going to just bring them in, and you can kind of see in the order that I'm bringing them in is the order they're actually going to stitch out. And then how about this? Let's go ahead and just bring in, for an example, some letters A, B, C. Now I know I'm not making anything exotic here, but I need to show you what we have to work with. Let's go ahead and go to where we can change the layers. That's the 3 little pieces of paper, and you're going to find that whatever order that you brought them in is the order they're going to stitch. Now that's fine and good, except once you start moving things around, and let's find that one that's outside the hoop here. Let's bump him back in. There he is. So maybe we have this design that we can kind of zoom out so we can kind of see all the parts and pieces. And maybe we want this one over here and that one over here. And we want this one to stitch out maybe last and maybe come over the, oh, how about this? How about come over the top of that one for fun? Let's just arrow that down, kind of add a little extra element to it. And again, I could zoom in on that, but for right now, we're just going to get like the whole idea. There we go. Okay, so what order is this going to stitch? It's going to stitch that little guy that I just positioned on top of the other one before it stitches kind of the fun little tendrils that are going around it. So that's not going to really be ideal. We would want it to actually stitch after it. So right here we can actually change the order. So you can actually just touch and drag it until it's the order you want it to stitch. Maybe we want the letters to stitch first, so we can move those up. You can also group these together so they would be able to be moved in simultaneously. So if you wanted to select multiple and select 2 at a time, you can group those. And here, let me minimize this, because what I did was I just grouped this one and this one together. So that way, if I wanted to go, ooh, I want it over here, it's going to move as a group. Maybe I want to size it down. It will size it as a group. If I wanted to rotate it, it would rotate as a group. Then I'm not having to kind of select both and do different things to both times. Also, too, this one would be another one. I might like to combine those two so they'll also move as a group. And maybe find that, here we go. See, and they'll even show as a group now. So here and here, we can group those together. And then maybe we give this a little twirl. They look like little eyelashes to me. Wouldn't that be fun? All right, so now they're going to be grouped and moved together. So that will be the order that they will stitch out. And again, I can change those up. And it's always best to kind of take a look, especially if you're bringing in more than one design, to see, is there going to be something that you'd prefer to have in the background and then the letters on top, or is it going to be okay the way you brought it in? Sometimes we kind of do that last minute addition, and then it really needs to stitch out first. You have the feature in this machine in the layers area to get it to stitch exactly the way you want it without having to start over and plan the path from the start the correct way that you want it to stitch. Now you can just bring it all in, play with the layers, and stitch it immediately.